Oh God, that didn't work. Let's go back to that. I pressed the wrong button. Hello, everyone. Damn it. Hello, Kieran. How are you doing? You just saw me fuck up instantly. So there you go. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns, and this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs, in which I spend an hour or two going through an RPG that I've either sort of seen in my Google Drive, or now I have a beautiful bookcase full of wonderful RPG books which I have never read, which is very exciting. So I'm glad that is up and running. Still some missing as I have to go through the boxes at some point. But yes, hello everyone. I hope you're doing well this fine Monday, wherever it finds you, whatever time zone it finds you. Yeah, sorry about that. I went to press the start button, and then it was like, okay, start on the screen that you're actually on. I was like, no. But I hope you're doing well, friends. Yes, today. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. So today we are looking at The Land of Eam Quick Start, which is an RPG that has been inspired by a graphic novel. And the reason I know this is because first of all, I interviewed the two people behind it, James Costa and Ben Costa, and James Parks, for Where a long, long time ago. I had actually played the beta Quick Start for Where, and a long time ago, they sent me the comic books as a little thank you for doing so. And I have to say, really good. Really enjoyed it. It was sort of inspired because they're both friends from years and years, when they grew up or something. Yo, hello Hamilton. How are you doing, my friend? I was just beginning my little chat about the Land of Eam. The Land of Eam is based on this comic book series called Rickety Stitch and the Gelatinous Goo, which is inspired by their as they sort of grew up, Ben and James, they used to play RPGs together, and it was kind of brought out their stories as they were kids, and then they grew up to be comic book writers and comic illustrators. That's the word I was trying to look for there. And then and there's 3 of these at the moment. There's a 3rd one that came out which I've not read yet, which I'm looking forward to. But I love it. Like, look how characterful they are. And then you got the goo there, and yeah, basically a very high fantasy stuff, and very friendly, and it has its own music as well. There's a song called Road to Italy, which is good because Rickety Stitch is a bard who wakes up as an undead skeleton and doesn't know why, and tries to find out stuff. So it says here, meet Rickety Stitch. He's a walking, talking skeleton with no memory of his former life. Rickety and his trusty sidekick Goo continue their harrowing adventure to discover the mystery of Rickety's origin, which is great. How wonderful is that? I love that as a quick go-to. And yet, since then, they have created this RPG, which is basically, they've described it as Lord of the Rings meets the Muppets, which instantly I'm in. Let's go. So today we're going to look at the Quick Start. You can back. There was a Kickstarter for the actual core books of the main rules, the bestiary, and the campaign setting of the Mucklands. But you can get the Quick Start for free on Drive Free RPG, or if you sign up to their newsletter, get it through there as well. So we're going to look at that. Now, the one thing I do want to say right at the beginning, before we go into it, is obviously all the disclaimers. So obviously, even though I got some books ages ago, and I've interviewed Ben and James, and obviously I'm not sponsored to do this at all. It is what came up on the random number generator. I also... disclaimer again, it is high fantasy. It is aimed at a younger audience or a more broader audience than normally what we'd look at here. So I don't think there's anything too troubling in terms of content warnings or themes that might be triggering for people. So, but again, I still invite you to take a step back if you should need to. You don't need, your health is more important, etc. And yeah, today we're going to look at we're going to look at what we like about it, what if anything we can improve about it, and anything accessible that we can look at as well, because that's very important when we're looking at digital files and stuff. Right, now I'll go to the actual stream I was supposed to be on, or I was on earlier. There you go. So this is where you can go. This is landofeam.com. And as you can see, there's all sorts of things. There's the Dungeoneer Adventures, which I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think that's a new venture for them. All the Rickety Stitch stuff, which you go over there. And then the RPG, which goes into lots of it. They do an actual play podcast of it, which weirdly streams to Instagram, I've found. So you can check out if you're not so sure about playing these games with the actual designers, and I think one of their other friends, who I think might be an illustrator as well, play together. So it's just a free-person game, which is quite nice. I quite like that. And there's random generators, maps, all the good stuff there. But yeah, this is where you can sign up for the quick start guide on the thing. We'll say, oh, can't read that bloody thing against this image background here. But I'm going to switch over so you can get it on Drive for RPG. And for free. Oh, pay what you want. Sorry, not for free. Pay what you want. So yeah, and then it's on Backer Kit. Sorry, not Kickstarter, Backer Kit. That's where it is. So yeah, Lord of the Rings meets the Muppets. Oh, can you see that? Absolutely, you cannot see that. Let me move it across, and let me, as always, enhance. There we go, a little bit better. Support it on the again. I don't know what it is about. There must be a way on Drive-Thru RPG. There must be some formatting thing, but never could. But yeah, Exalted Funeral, which is known for lots of indie RPGs, help them with the Land of Theme stuff there. So Lord of the Rings meets the Muppets in this light-hearted, epic fantasy role-playing game. The Land of Theme is a game about adventurers exploring and discovering the remnants of a lost, better age. Players take on the roles of lore-seeking travelers, fortune-seeking pioneers, and adventure-seeking heroes in a time devoid of them. The game emphasizes player creativity and collaboration storytelling with character abilities that allow players to invent and shape the world around them. Land of Theme is more about role-playing, teamwork, exploration, and finding lost treasures than it is about always fighting monsters, although that is part of the game too. And then here you go, based on the graphic novel series Ricky Stitch and the Gelatinous Goo. Now, sorry, you saw me, like, I was at the bottom looking at the reviews earlier. I always have a quick check to see what it is. And there is a 1-star review, and I just want to read it out to you. I think it's great. So, Alain has said, looks simple, light-hearted fun, but sadly found political views inserted into the game rules in the first few pages. I'm like, F off. Like, it's fine to have politics in games. So this guy has no idea what he's talking about, but there's some other, thankfully there's some other 5-star reviews, which I'm very pleased about as well. And I do say that because I have interviewed them, and they're very nice people. So it's always fun to look at the reviews and see, like, this person has no idea what's going on. But that's it. As I said, you can have there's a bit more here today. Land of Theme. It's a light-hearted fantasy RPG presented in an easy-to-use, easy-to-learn core book. It is packed with rules and resources to encourage players to be creative and ease the burden on GMs. And then, in addition to this, they're launching a fully illustrated bestiary and the first sandbox setting, the Mucklands. That's where the graphic novel series is based. That's where it sort of originates from. The Land of Theme emphasizes player creativity and collaborative storytelling, with character abilities that allow players to invent and shape the worlds around them. The game is more about role-playing, teamwork. Yeah, we said all that. That's all good. 16 folk species like Gelatinous Goo. So yeah, you can play a Gelatinous Goo, which is exciting. Skeleton or a turtle-like Quartal. In addition to six character classes, so the Bard, the Engineer, the Gnome, the Knight Errant, the Loyal Chum, and the Rascal, each with unique 20 abilities. So they've really worked hard in, like, getting some really cool naming sounding things, which I'm very glad. Like, I love the idea of the Knight Errant. And the Gnome, yeah, that's a character class, which is great. I love that. In the quick start guide, we get the basic rules. We get 6 pre-generated characters, which I'm going to show. I think they're quite good. Some random encounters, adventure module, and the full color hex map. Sorry. And what I'd say as well, having run one of the adventure scenarios in the quick start, pretty good. I think there's 3 in total that you can look at. Now, I will say, I'm going to go over to it. The Land of Theme picture, so you can see that. So this is the cover, right? And you'll notice it's not really the same, like, artistic. So I'll go back to a big screen of me. So this is the artistic style of Rickety Stitch, right? And then we have this. I think it's fine, but I actually, again, maybe it's because I played an earlier version. I prefer this style to me than this particular sort of almost like color, like almost like oil, right? Just because I feel like this style, this image, reminds me a lot of I don't know. It just feels friendlier. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I don't particularly like that style at all. I like the logo for the Land of Theme. I just don't really gel with it at all. I think it just looks a bit. I don't know. It's not my favorite cover. I'll be honest. Whereas something like within this style, I quite like. So that's something and the reason I'm saying this is because the original beta Quick Start had this as a cover, which is in their style a little bit more. And again, there's only a Quick Start, I get it, but that looks so much nicer. It's maybe more vibrant in terms of colors. You got example of Rickety down there, and it got some mushroom people. Like, again, beta, I understand. But I kind of like it much better. So because I was going to use this Quick Start, and then I realized that obviously there's a more recent updated version, which is this one. So yeah, So yeah, so I am going in completely blind to this. Sorry, not completely blind. I'm going in not knowing what we're talking about for this particular quick start. So we'll see. I'm intrigued because I have played this before, so I'm enjoying it. But yeah, I instantly the cover start. I much prefer the older cover, personally speaking. Right, with all that out of the way, I'm going to move this back here. We don't need it anymore. And right, of course I didn't set it right. I was looking at it earlier. Let's try again. So this quick start is roughly 47 pages, which is a good length, I think, for any quick start. And yeah, that's the cover. I said no alt text, unfortunately, guys. I'm so sorry. It's all good. Tasty Trekkie, hello, my friend. Each gnome has an initial at the start of their name. For example, the Sherman mushroom is Dragonbane Sherman mushroom. Oh, amazing! Oh, so are you a big fan of Land of Eam then as well? That's awesome. I didn't know that actually. Again, it's been a while since I've read the comic books, the graphic novels. There you go. So, and yeah, sorry, I keep jumping back and forth. But yeah, so they have this interior art at the beginning. I much prefer this to this cover, personally speaking. I just like maybe it's because it's using characters from the actual graphic novel, and obviously here, not so much. But yeah, I wish they'd use this style, personally speaking. But there you go, you got this. You got the Sport the Backer kit, which links to it, which is excellent. Also, the Backer kit is now finished and completed. Hopefully they'll get the PDFs out for public sale ASAP. Yeah, just because I like it. And yeah, you can see there the bestiary is in that sort of similar sort of cover style from this one. So there you go. Let's go to single page. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. So The Land of Eam is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game, or RPG, about adventurers exploring and discovering the remnants of a forgotten age. Players portray lore-seeking travelers, fortune-seeking pioneers, and adventure-seeking heroes in a time devoid of them. This game is designed to value creativity, role-playing, and exploration over excessive combat. Whilst getting into fights is still part of the game, players almost always have opportunities to talk their way out of conflict. That's what I do remember from when we did the quick start for Where, is that it had, for me at the time, a really interesting combat system, which I'm sure hopefully we'll get to in this stream. This is because almost every creature or monster encountered in Land of Eam is a person. They speak a language, have thoughts, feelings, desires, and motivations, and players should be willing to parlay before running headlong into a slugfest. True, some creatures are ultimately selfish, ruthless, evil, or simply difficult to talk to, but that would be wrong to assume that every manticore wants to eat you, just as it would be foolish to think that every human you meet wants to kill you. The settings for Eam is a land of colour and wonder, a world with many storied regions and realms teeming with diverse cultures and a plethora of characters and creatures. Eam is also a land in decay, where the great civilizations of the past crumbled long ago at the hands of the mysterious Gloom King. Ever since, the world has been in decline into an untamed, unchecked land filled with all manner of monsters and fiends, fearsome warlords, and, most recently, greedy tycoons, ushering in an unruly industrial age called the Dungeon Era. Oh yeah, I remember this now. I backed the crowdfunding and have the final PDS. And I'm several sessions deep into a campaign. It's a lovely setting and also. Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that, Testy Trekkie. Yeah, again, it's one of those ones where I'd love to bring it to the table more. Like I said in Where, when we did the quick start adventure of the burger joint, which is in this one, I know, we had such a good time. Everyone really loved their characters, really loved trying stuff. So that's great. I'm so glad to hear that someone else has heard of this game and is playing it, and several sessions deep. That's amazing. Love the names here, particularly fond of the used to be forest. Yes, I will say there's some really great regions, so to speak, as well. A time chaotically run by rival goblin corporations, locked in a never-ending quest to outdo one another in business and expansion. Oh, sound familiar? All the while, average folk toil away in mines, factories, and dungeons, eking out a meagre existence. The southern realm of Eam and seat of goblin power is known as the Mucklands, broken into 6 regions. So we've got the Drippy Downs, the Fleaback County, Quagmarsh, River Country, Scallywag Strand, and the Used to Be Forest. Let's start from the top. So the Drippy Downs. So one of the few bastions of the old magical world, the Drippy Downs is a land of rolling green hills, home to trolls, fairies, Wurga? I know that's not Dwergar at all, Dwargogs, and other uncommon species, mainly doing their best to preserve the heritage of Eames' magical past. Fleabag Country, the bustling region of Fleabag County, or county, sorry, not country, is home to the Muckland's biggest cities, including the Big Crabapple itself, Bogtown. Corrupt politicians and underworld criminals thrive like weeds as the average folk toil away in factories and farms. The Quagmarsh, a frontier of large unexplored marshes and bogs where pioneers, adventurers, and big game hunters flock to either make names for themselves or succumb to the perilous wilderness full of gators, muckmen, and orcs? It's archers, orchards. I think that's what I'm supposed to say. River Country, a beautiful green country full of rushing waterways. River Country is not home to peaceful quarters and pleasant folk, but to wildly rascal robbers and obscenely wealthy river barons who endlessly duke it out for supremacy on extravagant riverboats. Oh, that sounds like a very fun region, does it not? Scallywag Strang, an infamous coastline of the Mucklands teems with pirates and scoundrels, I was going to say, rascals out to rob seafarers blind, or worse. If the pirates aren't enough to deter you from the open seas, beware, for beyond the peaks of Terror Island, there be monsters. And then the used-to-be forest, home to the goblin tycoons and corporations that fueled the dungeon era. The used-to-be forest is a barren landscape of cracked earth and felled trees. A true testament to what happens when big businesses and small moral fibre make a mess of the natural world. You can see that person who had the opinion was like, no thank you. He's like, yeah, fog off. The tone. So for all its post-apocalyptic doom and gloom, the land of Eam is tonally quite light-hearted and droll. Based on our fantasy graphic novel series Rickety Stitch and the Gelatinous Goo, it combines Lord of the Rings high fantasy epicness with a heavy dose of Muppets-like whimsy and a dash of Mad Max dystopia. Amazing. So, be who you want to be. In the land of Eam, all types of people and characters are welcome from all walks of life, with different backgrounds, creeds, and credos. Beside the available classes and folks, there is no limitation on player identity and creativity. The only requirement is being tolerant and respectful of fellow players. Say it louder at the back, guys, that is so important. What you need to play this game, to play the Land of Eam, you need between 2 to 7 people. Oh, 7? No. See, I know one is going to be the game master, but that's still 6 people. Oh. One is the game master who runs the game world. The rest are players who create and roleplay player characters or PCs. Again, I know I always say this, it would be nice to have like, I am the Goo Master, or the Land of Eam inhabitants, or something like that for the PC and GMs. I know it's probably aimed at a much wider audience, so they want to keep it simple, but I love a good terminology, as people know. Over the course of the session, about 2 to 4 hours, the GM describes the imaginary game world to the players, presenting problems and situations to overcome, all whilst playing the role of non-player characters or NPCs inhabiting the world. Players explore the imaginary world, describe what their PCs say and do, ideally pursuing their own goals and desires. Sometimes the players and GMs will have to roll dice to determine what happens. So for this, you need a full set of polyhedral dice to play. The most used die is a D12. Yes, D12! But you'll also need a D4, D6, D8, D10, and D20. So yeah, you don't have to buy special dice for this, although I highly encourage that you do. You also need the Mucklands hex map overland travel, as that is an important part of gameplay. I do have that, and maybe I'll show it later if we need to. Alright, dice mechanics. Already straight in on page 6 for this PDF, we've got the dice mechanics. I want to say, I love the colour. I love the pink. I love this the pink for this bit. It's like, this clearly is the important bit, and then we've got the success rules is there. Oh, Bobby Duke the Bobby. Hello, my friend. Nice to have you here. A party of goblins with some kind of coal-powered steam car being chased by orcs I'll say that again. A party of goblins with some kind of coal-powered steam car being chased by orcs, I can never say the word, through the used-to-be forest a la Mad Max Furiosa. Absolutely. I mean, it feels quite relevant now, doesn't it? So yeah, absolutely. I love that idea. So, dice mechanics. Making a check. Can everyone see that? I'll move it over just a little bit so people can see the whole thing. So whenever a PC does something where the outcome is uncertain, it should make a check to find out what happens. To make a check, roll 1d12, adding or subtracting the relevant skill modifier. So again, nothing we're not used to before. And the result will determine the success or failure of that occurs. So 1 to 2 is a complete failure. 3 to 5 is failure with a plus. 6 to 8 is success with a twist. 9 to 11 is success, and 12 is a complete success. Interesting. So interpreting the results. As you can see, there are 5 types of check results, 5 different sort of tiers of success here. It is generally up to the GM to interpret these situational results. This often requires creative thinking and improvisation, and that might not always come quickly in the moment. In those situations, multiple heads are better than one, and the GM should ask for the player's input. Because yeah, overall, if you get a 6 plus, you're likely to succeed. It's just with some complications and stuff like that. And the same thing, like 5 and less, you're gonna fail. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of like dice mechanics, but you've just got a few different things here. So let's see. So 1 to 2 is a complete failure. The action fails with something else going wrong in the process. So some examples here. So like when picking a locked door, the PC fails to pick the door and they alert the guards, for example. 3 to 5 is a failure with a plus. The action fails but with a benefit or silver lining. So again, that example of picking the lock, the PC fails to pick the lock but notices a more perilous way in. 6 to 8 is a success with a twist. The action succeeds with a complication. So again, picking a locked door, the PC picks the lock but does so noisily, attracting unwanted attention. 9 to 11 is success. The action succeeds, so we pick the lock with ease, it says here. And then complete success. The action succeeds and something great happens. So the PC picks the lock at an opportune moment when no one is around. So yeah, fairly straightforward, very easy. And like I said, I love a good D12. Let's zoom in a little bit so people can see. We do one more just in case. There we go. Does that work for people? So moving the story forward. It is important to remember that every die roll should move a story forward. Additional negative or positive consequences of failed actions should always prevent the narrative from stalling. Limited outcomes. Because the die results follow a chart, sometimes it is useful for the GM to define the limits of success before the players make the check. Doing so helps the GM interpret the die result. This is particularly useful if a PC's attempted action just logically wouldn't turn out the way they hoped from the GM's perspective. So for example, a PC tries to intimidate a hostile Orc king into relinquishing his crown without reason or cleverness. Wild, right? Even if a character rolls a success, the GM might tell them that the action has a limited outcome. The narrative circumstance simply doesn't support the player's intended outcome. Instead, the GM might decide that a success means the Orc King respects the GM's gumption, PC's gumption, and is more amenable to discussions. Very good. Oh, Kieran says, I also do like the colouring. It's easy to read, and as you say, the important elements immediately stand out when you first look at the page. It also doesn't feel too cramped, as though I might like slightly larger text if this was a physical book where I can't zoom in on my PDF reader, which also makes it less intimidating. Yeah, I agree. Again, you've seen here, Kieran, how great is that image there? No alt text, but still great. I think, yeah, if I zoom out to like just 100%, it's not as cramped as we've seen on other quick starts, is it? But I agree. I think if they bumped it up maybe 1 or 2 points on the font, it might be a little better. But you can see they probably use different font, certainly they use different colouring, obviously. But I think they use different font for like highlighting certain words. So maybe that wouldn't work as well. But so far it's good. Yeah, and I really like that pink. It's not a hot pink, but I like how it works with the gold. And on this background as well, and I know I always talk about like the colours of like paper. This sort of muted, sort of beigey colour, I think works really well. And I like the little border as well. It's very cute, isn't it? I really like it. But yeah, I always have to zoom in because you know what I'm like. I'm like, ugh, my old lady eyes do not work well. So modifiers. So a check can never be more than +3 bonus or a -3 penalty. So there are if certain items or situations give a check more or less, it is instead capped at +3 or -3. I do think that's quite good. I think because it gets to a point, it's like, well, why are we even rolling then? like that's why I always think about perception checks quite a bit. If you're like, I have a thing that gives me +5 perception, and I'm already very good at perception. It's like, well, what are you looking for? You're trying to find another clue. You're trying to indicate to me as the GM to be like, oh, you've missed something. I always think of it as like sort of gives a clue GM in the escape room if you do a perception check. Like I really loved Orbital Blues' way of dealing with perception checks. It's just a straight 2d6 with no modifiers, and if you just so happen to see it, then great. It's all about chance. I think that's true there. So I do quite like here. It's like you've got a cap of a +3 or a -3. I think that's pretty good. The only circumstance, oh, it's going to change it now, isn't it? The only circumstance where this is overridden is using a quest point to give a +1 to the check, effectively providing a +4 bonus. Interesting, I don't remember the quest points. Advantage or disadvantage. So when the check has advantage, whether through proficiencies, abilities, perks, or GM-determined narrative circumstances, roll twice and take the better result. And conversely, with disadvantage, roll twice and take the worst result. So that's 2d12s on that one. Proficiencies and deficiencies. Proficiencies are situational advantages for a type of action or circumstance. They model specific expertise within a skill's larger purview. So, for example, hiding proficiency is just one aspect of the sneak skill. Okay. Deficiencies are situational disadvantages, a type of action or circumstance. Heavy armor, for example, provides a deficiency in sneak. Be sure to record your permanent proficiencies and deficiencies when performing certain actions. Okay. Playing the game. God, it's really good. And God, I love this pink. It's so nice. The players roll and the GMs roll. So this is the principles. We've talked about this before, this idea of having principles at the top and just giving everyone the same page. I like that this is on the same page. I think sometimes it talks a lot about like the player stuff and it goes into detail and it goes, and now the GM's principles, and it's further away. I think having something like this on the same page, which, although, again, we've talked about it, the font might be a bit small, perhaps, for this. I think like it would work really well like as putting it out in the middle of the table, so there's something about session 0, you can read about it there. But the player's role we have here, we've got 3 on this page. I'm wondering, do we have more on the next page? No, we don't. Okay, so we've got 3 each. Again, that's really good. Odd numbers are always really good because you remember them. They stand out in your mind. So for the player's role, our principles are roleplay your character, explore the land of Eam, and be cooperative. The GM's role, we have make the land of Eam feel alive and real and weird. Stay weird. Offer the PCs interesting and difficult choices. Just move this a little bit closer so I've got it. Challenge the players, but also be their biggest fan. Nice. I like that. I also love this. Look at these. Ooh, look at these guys down here. They're great, aren't they? Let's see. So let's explore them a little bit further. So roleplay your character. Don't rely on dice rolls to speak for you. Say what your character says. Build on your relationships each session. Demonstrate your ideal and flaw. Make things interesting and embrace complications. Create a personal quest that compels pursuit over many sessions. Ooh. Kieran says, it makes it more clear that a GM is there to play and have fun as well. Something which can be sometimes less obvious if everything the player reads is about the GM as a facilitator or arbiter. Yeah, that's so true, actually, because I'm a big fan of, like, the GM is a player and, like, has the final say on stuff. But, they're equally, like, part of the roles and talking stuff, because, they create stuff, and they play loads of different characters as well. So I do like that, yeah. And also maybe that sort of thing about the principles, it's maybe subconsciously, if you're a player and you see, oh, this is what the GM does? Oh, maybe I could GM. Because I always think we need to get rid of these barriers from players like, oh no, I always want to be a player. Because that's also, I will say that is a valid choice, don't get me wrong. But there's something delicious about when a player wants to be a GM and have a go and they have a good time. They're like, good, yes, more GMs, we need them. Explore the land of Eam. Direct your own gameplay. Your PC should have desires. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Don't be afraid to suggest new and creative ways for the GM to help you realize your objectives. Look at the map and decide what looks interesting. What's in that cave over there? Where can we find more trombones for our goblin ska band? See what I mean? Love it. Seek out rumors to pursue. Where is that knight errant off to in such a hurry? Be cooperative. Share the spotlight with other players. Support your fellow players' creativity. The yes and. Yes, improv. Build on what they say instead of refuting or ignoring it. And then finally, collaborate on interesting outcomes for die results if the GM is struggling. I like that a lot. The GM's role. So, make the land of Eam feel alive, alive, real, and weird. Strive to make every NPC and creature a person. Use the random tables to generate the setting. Reveal as much information as lore as possible without spoiling the mystery. No one wants to know the ending at the beginning. The world exists beyond the PC's adventures. NPCs and faction plots and plans progress even if the PCs ignore them. Offer the PCs interesting and difficult choices. Make them weigh their options. That's good. Throw rocks at them. Put them in peril. Make them use resources. Move the story forward. If things stall, have them meet a new NPC or a wandering creature. So challenge the players, but also be their biggest fan. Reward creativity. Allow multiple solutions to problems. And work with the players' ideas. You don't have to say yes to everything, but always try to find a nugget to work with. And be fair and consistent with rulings. Yeah, I like them. I do like this one. Throw rocks at them. Put them in peril. Oh, can't even. And make them use resources. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it's not punishing them, but you want them to, do they want to spend that thing right now, or do they want to keep it? We'll give them something to work with. Okay, so attributes and stats. We'll zoom out a little bit. So attributes are a PC's core characteristic, broadly defining their capabilities. We've got vim, vigor, knack, and know-how. Great. Love that. The modifiers of attributes +2, +1, +0, -1 directly influence stats and skills. So I'm gonna go over to a character sheet here. I'll bring this over. Maybe I'll zoom out a little bit for this one. So this is an example of character sheet. I will say the ones in this quick start I don't think are form fillable, which is a shame. So how nice is this character sheet? I love the gold. It again. Sorry, I've zoomed out quite a bit just so you can see it all. I love the gold. I love the it looks so clean. We've got a lot of stuff here, but we've got so clean stuff, and I can imagine if it was fun for adding all the stuff, and yeah, it's nice. And then, so this is an example of the Bard class, Kiri Candleheart, and then look, on the other side, you've got a lovely little portrait of Kiri, which I love, and then some additional perks and some campaign notes. I just think it's really nice and very clear. That's good. So yeah, here we go on the left-hand side, we've got the attributes of Vim, Vigor, Knack, and Know-how. And there it goes into I believe these are going to be the skills, and then we've got some other bits and pieces there. So we'll look at this as we go along as well. And I will say there are other ones. Obviously, this is just the first one, but we'll go through them. I want to show you you've got the Bard ability. Oh, look at that. You've got some extra sheets. Okay, so it's over 3 sheets, this as well. And it's got stuff for leveling up, I think it says up there. Spending XP. Excellent. Up there. Oh, now this is my favourite character, is Squeege, which is a gelatinous goo, who's a dungeoneer. And we, in our Where one shot, we had a friend, because in the graphic novels, gelatinous goos can't be understood. They sort of say a language. Well, sorry, they can be understood, but they don't speak sort of a common language. They sort of make lots of noises and stuff, and you're so right, goo. So I love that sort of, it's almost like gibberish they're speaking. What we did for our one shot, my friend, whose name I've completely forgotten off the top of my head, Callum. He played Squeege as like a RP Shakespearean actor, and would say all these things out loud, and then we would interpret it differently, and it was just the funniest thing. It was such a great character choice, and I loved it. And look how great that image is. I love Squeege. Scrooge. Yeah. It also reminds me of Squeam from Dimension 20 as well, to be fair. But yeah, I thought I'd show you at least Squeege, because Squeege is great. Anyway, as we're saying, so then we've got stats. So there are 4 stats. We've got courage, attack, defense, and quest points. So these are here on this side. And they are directly influenced by the attribute modifiers on this side. So courage determines how much dread, so in brackets damage, a PC can withstand. So for Squeege, let's have a look. Courage is here, so we can take 12. Measures a PC's bravery, will, tenacity, and determination whilst adventuring. It's also determined by class and modified by Vim. So you get your class, and then you'd probably add or take whatever it is from that target number, essentially. Then the attack measures a PC's combat prowess at striking foes. It's equal to the vigor modifier. So here, it's +2, so +2. Yep, that makes sense. And increase with some magical items, but cannot be increased by XP. So yeah, so you don't necessarily get better with, like, you can get like maybe increased magical items or weapons maybe, but you can't get stronger. You can't change like that attack, which I think is great. I like that, so that you're not going to suddenly just one-shot like goblins as you're going through. Like you know, it's still pretty dicey, so to speak. And then we have defense. This determines how difficult it is for adventurers to harm PCs in combat. It alters attack rolls targeting a PC. I don't know what that means. Got defense of 0 here, which is linked to knack, I'm guessing, but I'm sure we'll find out in a second what that means. Derived by inverting a PC's knack modifier. Ooh, so if I go maybe here, maybe we can see. There we go here. So knack here is a +1, but defense here is a -1 as a result. Interesting. Okay. And then what was I going to say? Increased with some magical weapons, but cannot be increased with XP. So yeah, so here's the example. So +1 knack grants a -1 defense, which subtracts from -1 from the attack rolls targeted PC. Oh, so I see. So your defense takes the damage down. I understand now. Interesting. Conversely, -1 knack grants +1 defense, finding a +1 bonus to adversaries' attack rolls. Ooh, gosh. Ugh. Quest points. Representing a PC's adventuring savvy will succeed, and perhaps a bit of luck. Equal to know-how +3. So the know-how here is 1, +3 is 4, so we've got it there. Right. Spend quest points to use a once per session a class ability or perk an additional time in the session, and add +1 to a check even after roleplaying. There you go. And also, what a nice little sheet. Again, print it out as a quick reference guide. Yeah, it's got it all there. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit so you can see. The skills represent a specific focus or attribute or aspect of an attribute. PCs can use any skill, but how a player decides to load out and increase the character's skills has a significant effect. After all, using a skill is often required to use a class ability. Skills are improved individually with X as detailed on, well, we'll never know because they didn't finish this quick, so that's not great, is it? And a skill check can never have more than a cumulative +3 bonus or -3 penalties to roll. Yes. Some skills are grouped together thematically outside of their respective attributes. The rules in the game sometimes refer to them as social, movement, physical, mental checks, skills or checks. To use a social skill, players must role-play what they say before any check is made. Players can never just make a check in lieu of roleplay and engaging with the fiction. So yes, I agree that to a certain extent, but as well, like again, if people are new to it and not so sure, I would definitely be like, so what are you actually saying to the people? And I wouldn't expect them to roleplay out, but I would want them to say what they were asking rather than just like one word or a sentence or two. Like really like try and like convince me. I definitely prefer that, but I would never make them like role play it. I think definitely would say it out loud personally. Coloring. Yes. Sorry, I was like, is there another comment? No, there's no other comment. I'm sorry. It's me talking to myself. Right. So the primary skill categories, we've got these Vim, Vigor, Knack, and Know-how skills, and we've got 4 in each, which we can see here, and they're all put up there, which is fine. Thematic skill categories. Are they? Oh, I see. I think so. No, they're grouped together like this by the prime. Okay, I quite like that. They're grouped together by the primary stuff, by this primary category stuff here. But maybe if you wanted to, you could change it so it's the other. So it is this thematic stuff. So like social, movement, etc. Because you got some more physical skills and mental skills. There's slightly more of them in there. I understand. How cute are these? They're so cute. I love them. I'm going to go into detail here. All right, I won't read out every example, but you get an idea. So these Vim skills at the top here, Vim. It's got Charm, Inspire, Metal, and Perception. The Charm is a PC's aura, which defines how the Land of Eam inhabitants react to PCs, used for captivating listeners with speech and song. We've got Metal, a PC's inner fortitude and willpower, which defines how well they can withstand facing danger, used in resisting fear or pushing oneself beyond their limits. Inspire is used to convince others of the PC's sincere words and actions. Along with Charm, it defines how the Land of Eam inhabitants might react to the PCs, especially in serious situations. So the Charm here is it's slightly different, aren't they? So this is like a Persuasion, the Inspire one, whereas Charm is more like, I don't know, it feels almost like appearance / like social standing that you sometimes see in Call of Cthulhu, perhaps. That's what I'm thinking of here. So, like Inspire is probably the one you'd use more of for the Persuasion stuff. And then Perception is a PC's perception to detect things, defining their insight, intuition, and observational skills. Again, I like how it's very rare we put everything on one page or be able to put everything in one page, but clearly this has been written and copy edited to the point of like it's very straightforward, easy to read for any age. And then we've got some loads of examples here as well, which I quite like, and it's all on one page as well, so you're not having to flick back between 2 pages and stuff. Kieran also says, I also preferred the internal art style to the new cover art style, and I think it's because the internal art feels more whimsical, whilst the cover art feels serious, despite the scene itself not being so. Yeah, you know what that is? You've absolutely hit the nail on the head. I'm going to go back just so that people can see. Yeah, I don't get why they've done it, really. It doesn't feel... I absolutely would not show this to people like when we're starting off. I absolutely would show I would think this cover, this internal cover would be much better. So I don't know. I really don't know why they've made that choice per se. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with the cover. Like, I think it's fine, but it doesn't grab me as that whimsical, exactly what you put it, that whimsicalness compared to some of this art. And also, these arts inside, they're not the same. They're not using the same style at all. But I love this. I really like that. And like this sort of almost like Possum Creek Games type imagery here. And here, like, I don't know. I think it was just an interesting choice. I don't particularly... I don't know. It makes me feel sad. Again, because it's one of those things where I would have much preferred that beta quick start thing. Again, I always talk about posters, right? I don't think I would like a poster of that this one. I just don't like it. And it's very rare that I do not like a cover. So, I don't know. I just think the interior art is so much better. Okay. Where were we? Vigor. So Vigor is used for athletics, might, intimidation, and vitality. So athletics is used for running long distances, jumping, climbing, and swimming, and determining a PC's athletic speed and prowess. It differs from nimbleness in that athletic skills, actions emphasize physical fitness over dexterity. I think that's good as well. I wish we had more of that, like saying like, okay, because obviously we're going to have nimbleness in the dexterity one, which is like knack, I think that's what that one is. But it's nice to be like, oh, for this one, you'd use this for. So maybe that's why the examples are probably good as well. Also, I just realized it's one example, but with all 5 like outcomes. I like that actually, that you have one example and what kind of different outcomes go. Because again, as I said, if you were a brand new GM, maybe you would struggle with the failure with the plus and success with the twist stuff. I like how it's giving you a full example for each one. That's pretty good. Might. For PC's physical strength and used to living blah 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 blah. A PC's physical strength used in lifting heavy objects, breaking someone's grapple, or winning an arm wrestling contest. They always want to do the arm wrestling stuff, don't they? I don't know what is it with people. Intimidate. Used to threaten or frighten someone. For example, coercing a guard to give a PC a key or frightening away a goon. Yeah, we've got an example here. We've got another example here. So, a PC's physical fortitude, stamina, health, and constitution, used to endure harsh conditions, resist poisons, and to keep moving when the going gets tough. Then we've got knack. Knack is nimble, sneak, search, and trickery. These are great names, by the way, for skills. Like again, I love when people work really hard on games and give them their own vernacular, give them their own vocab for stuff. Because it just feels more real. And it doesn't feel like we're just using the 5th edition D20 system. You know? Like they've made an effort. Again, just spread it to all the other areas. Like pull your PC something and they say, you are the Goo Master. I don't care, you are the Goo Master, I've decided. So nimbleness, a PC's agile and dexterity, determining how quick, swift, and graceful they are with their feet and hands. Used for dodging hazards, escaping from trouble, performing acrobatic maneuvers and sleights of hand. Sneak is used to hide or move stealthily, unnoticed or unseen. I feel like unnoticed is unseen, but okay. Determine how adept a PC is at slinking by a gang of watchful bandits or hiding from a hungry Wargle beast. Great name. Also, it determines how well a PC can conceal or smuggle objects. Used in finding things. Oh, search is used in finding things, sorry. Encompassing scouring a room for clues or searching behind a painting for a secret safe or hidden door. And then trickery is used for deceiving with lies and falsehoods. How good a PC is at duping others and disguising themselves. It also determines how crafty the PC is with unscrupulous tasks at like lockpicking, pickpocketing, and cheating at cards. And then finally, know-how. So this is going to be over 2 pages. Interesting. Know-how skills is Law, Realms, Tinker, and Wilderness. I wonder why they've done them over 2 pages. I mean, look at that artwork there. How good. Oh, that's such a nice art. I think these are quite big, the examples here, perhaps. So Law is used for knowing Eames' history and trivia. It is a PC's memory for legends and stories, as well as knowledge not covered by another skill. Determine how well a PC can recall rumours about a strange place, know facts about an obscure creature, and identifying items. Realms. Oh, so it's kind of split them up from Law is history and then Realms is like geography. I like that. A PC's knowledge of locations and cultures, defining how well travelled they are and how well they speak various languages. Used for actions like identifying who runs a frontier town or understanding cultural habits of feral boggles in the Quagmash. It is also the main skill used for travelling across the Hex. Tinker represents how handy the PC is at crafting and making things, as well as their general cleverness as a worker. It also defines their aptitude for comprehending the science and mechanics of things, used for fixing broken machinery, rigging a pulley system, or figuring out the most efficient way to complete a job. And then finally, Wilderness. These are 12. 12 skills in total. Yeah. Yes. No, 16 skills in total. Can't count. Wilderness, used for surviving and navigating the perils of the wild. It also represents a PC's botanical and animal knowledge. Oh, I've got a wild bracket there. It covers actions like wrangling critters, finding the best trail through spooky woods, or tending a snake bite. There you go. Nice overview. Again, I like how it's just nice and short. The examples I think are welcome. Again, I don't necessarily need them, but it would be nice if they could have put them all on the same page. But it's okay. I'll let them go this once. And then we've got abilities. Drink the rest of my tea quickly. Alright, so abilities is what makes a PC truly unique and powerful, often allowing them to be creative. PCs gain abilities in several ways, so either by class abilities and perks, certain folk perks, magic items, and heroic titles found in the Land of Eam, sandbox settings like the Mucklands. Ooh, interesting. Oftentimes, using abilities requires a skill check. However, abilities bend the game's normal rules, expanding on the capabilities of what regular skill checks can accomplish. If an ability seems like it achieves the same thing as a regular skill, assume the ability grants the PC increased capability, potency, and or convenience. So, at level 1, PC starts with both class abilities. They'll only have to choose Oh, they'll only have to choose which ability they want to keep after reaching level 2. This is true every level. The PC can use both their current level's abilities, but only one when advancing to the next level. How interesting. I hadn't really come across that idea that you get to test them out beforehand and then you go, which one would you like to keep? I like that. There's an example here, which we won't read. Look at this guy. Aren't they great? I love them. I always wish I could find a proper big backpack like that. Not necessarily to carry my quiver of arrows with me, but you know. So I've got some terminology here. One thing I will say, there wasn't any table of contents at the beginning of this, so it makes it a little bit tricky to navigate and stuff, but I do appreciate a good terminology or glossary in an RPG, like just to help us out and stuff. So we've got stuff like once per session, so obviously that's an ability that we can use once per session, once per combat, each session on a 6+, which is again at tiers of success thing, NPCs, adversaries. That's someone in conflict with them. Then adversary classes. Some abilities only affect certain types of adversaries, specifying either goons, bruisers, or champions. So there's like 3 levels of different enemies, so to speak. Ooh, love the hot pink. How great is that? My god, it's difficult to read though. So these are the 6 classes we have. We have the Bard, the Knight Errant, the Dungeoneer, the Loyal Chum. I love the Loyal Chum. That's like a sidekick. The Gnome, and the Rascal. So we've got up here. I'm going to read from up here because, good god, that white on pink is... Whoa. We've got sweet voiced musicians, silver-tongued storytellers, and healers of hearts. Bards are more at home talking, tricking, and inspiring than clashing steel with adversaries. Bards are charismatic, creative, and party healers. And what I like as well, again, not that it's obvious, I think, but Rickety Stitch, I'm going to look out again, because they're a bard, and therefore they're the hero of the story. And I think I know people have different views of bards in like D&D and stuff, but ultimately they usually, I think, become like leaders in some cases, or joke around. But it's quite nice to have like it. Yeah, like I said, if it's a whole game that's not focused on fighting per se, it's nice to be like the bard is the most used class, you know. The Knight Errant, the strong and shift. Oh my god. Strong and swift and courageous, a knight errant is a wayfaring warrior lending their sword to a cause. Chivalry and romanticism may have withered and died for most of the land of Eam, but not in these heroic knights whose bravery inspires all they encounter. Knight errants are skilled fighters who ride steeds and lead others. Nice. The Dungeoneer is an enterprising adventure seeker, daring to venture into old tombs and abandoned ruins in search of lost things. Armed with the know-how and most useful gear to succeed in the wild, Dungeoneers are smart enough to realize that Eam is dangerous, so best to travel in numbers. Dungeoneers are daring treasure hunters with a ton of resources and an NPC crew. The Loyal Chum. Reliable and true, a loyal chum is the quintessential ally and travel companion. Their contributions may sometimes go unnoticed, but they are the backbone of any adventuring party, and always there to lend a hand or helpful advice. Loyal chums are the party glue, boosting their allies and always useful in a pinch. Yeah, tag yourself 100%, I am the loyal chum on this. Kieran says, I like the terminology section, but I think once per session and each session are a bit too similar in name, given that there is a significant difference between them. I don't know what I would replace once per session with, but I think there must be a better term. Interesting. Hang on, I'll go back, because I did breeze through it. So, I see. So yeah, so once per session, use an additional time. So yeah, they're almost like you unlock them by spending the currency of the quest points. Otherwise, it's exhausted for the next game session, or presumably long rest, and then each session, use once per session. Oh yeah. The quest points cannot be spent on them. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know if you get rid of the once per session. I think maybe each session. But maybe you have to clarify you can't spend, like, once per arc? Once per adventure, perhaps? I don't know, because, yeah, it's a session thing is the thing that's killing. It's killing that one. Yeah. Yeah, it's a session part in that. Well, no, good point, though. I hadn't really seen that. Next up is the gnome. In the land of Eam, gnomes may appear cute and harmless, but they are in fact some of the most powerful beings in existence. Protectors of nature and chroniclers of the old way, gnomes are the only class also doubling as the character's folk. Gnomes wield wild magic. Oh no, gnomes wield magic, know about the world, and are in tune with nature. They're great. I forgot how much I love gnomes. And then the rascal is a roguish scamp, the kind found in a band of brigands or toiling away at the worst jobs in the dungeon. They do what they must in order to survive in a world ruled by the bad guys, learning a few tricks of the trade along the way. Rascals are sneaky rogues who easily get into, and in brackets, out of, trouble. Oof, we've got XP. No, God. Again, love the colour on this. So, gaining XP in numerous ways. It's divided into two types, questing XP and role-playing XP, but neither include killing monsters. XP is used to level up and improve skills. So, alright, I didn't know that. Interesting. The questing XP is an achievement triggered every time. When it's triggered, they gain 1 XP. Each of the following achievements can only be triggered once in a session, except at the GM's discretion. So, completing a quest or objective, encountering a new creature, having a significant NPC encounter, solving a problem in a creative way, getting into peril or hijinks, travel 10 or more hexes, explore a new location or point of interest, find a magical item or relic, and craft an item. Okay. And then role-playing XP stems from the character stories and is divided into, oh my god, it's subdivided even further into party XP and individual XP. When party XP is triggered, every player gains +1. Oh, I see. You get everyone present for questing, and everyone party gets this. But individual XP is only awarded to PCs that triggered it. Every PC can trigger the following criteria once per session. So party XP, a PC builds a relationship. Even though 2 PCs are involved, the GM may oh, hang on. Even though 2 PCs are involved, the GM decides which triggered the party XP. And pursue of the first one. I see, because you can only do it once, right? Interesting. Individual XP, you demonstrate their ideal, their flaw, and tell an important story about. Oof, I feel like that's a lot, right? Like, I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to give it different, separate sort of things. There must be a better way of doing it. Like, again, maybe the GM has to have a little sheet going, yes, everyone here, questing XP, gets 5 XP because you completed a quest. You encountered this, you did this, that sort of thing. And then on top of that, yeah, I think it's fine. It just feels a bit bitty here, personally. You can see here, we go all the way up to level 10 in terms of XP costing. So we don't get higher than level 10 in this thing. And then you got stuff for improving skills, boosting stats, etc. That's good. And then after reaching level 10, PCs can expend 40 XP to gain additional ability from the previous level. This we can do multiple times. Oh, interesting. So you can sort of build up your character and have more. You've got access to the whole branch of abilities, and then you keep going back. Interesting. I like that. Sorry, I get very excited at art. Gosh, how gorgeous is that art? The facing off. I wonder, is this bird just closer to us? Or is it actually that size? Oh, okay, character stories. So, Session 0. Always good to have a mention of it. Session 0 is essential for creating each player's character story. Every class has a unique questions and answers located at the end of their respective entries. To quickly get into the character story off the ground, do we have that here? We've got personal quests, we've got backstories, so no questions here. I wonder if I go to the end, is there any examples? No examples. Unless, sorry, I'm going to go back to Squeege. Here's the abilities and stuff. No, it doesn't say here. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, about an hour in. Alright. End of their respective entries, so it might not be on the character sheet. Alright, fine. To quickly get the character story off the ground. The character story elements help flesh out the PC's personality, past and present, and establish inter-PC relationships. During Session 0, the time should be taken for each player to answer these questions for their backstory, ideals and flaws, relationships, and personal quest. The GM and players should have a back and forth conversation to flesh out and build upon each player's answers, snugly fitting things into the campaign. They'll quickly notice possible connections between PC stories, The more, the better. And then it's going to break down these things. So backstory is going to encourage you to expand on the backstory, adding specific details to make their histories unique. Ideals and flaws. So ideals and flaws are a PC's innate personality traits, beliefs or tendencies that drive or hinder them. At the end of each session, if a player is engaged with a PC's ideal, they gain +1. If they... Oh, I see. I was going to say, what else? If PCs start with one flaw... Oh, the PCs start with one ideal and one flaw. I feel like you should gain it if you engage with the flaw as well, like XP, because it feels like... Because otherwise you just completely play to your ideal. I think it's always fun to play with the flaws a little bit. And you gain another one at... and you gain another ideal and flaw at level 5 as well. So nice, so you get to flesh out this character. Relationships. Look at this gnome. How great is this gnome? No alt text, but how great is that gnome? Relationships. So PC should be connected to every other PC. Some connections will be deeper, but the goal is to establish a bond explaining why the PCs are adventuring together. Players should take turns in picking a relationship with another PC. It is important to note that both PCs should share the same relationship premise from one class list, as opposed to both picking a different premise from their own class list. This may require counterpart tweaking the text language. Okay. Does it say on here about relationships? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So we've got here some examples. The gnome always bails me out of trouble, and I think I need to be more cautious. Oh, I like this. Look, if you look in the actual character sheets here, it tells you, like, oh, you gain some XP if you do this and that, which is good. A bit tiny on this sheet, I will say, but yeah, that's okay. Also, look, you got the overtired and burdened, presumably, like, conditions here. Those are super tiny. Didn't even see them on the first one. No deficiencies here. What about... No deficiencies. Interesting. There's no space for them here. Oh, you can't see it, sorry. Okay, so we've got the proficiencies, and then deficiencies you don't really have space for. Excuse me. Okay, building on relationships. So building on relationships means reinforcement, deepening, or altercation of a PC's relationships in some other way. Just pick one word. I said this last time. I hate it so much when people are like, oh, we want to cover freedom phrase. Pick one that means a reinforcement of a PC's relationship in some way. Like deepening probably is better. An alteration, fine. You only need one of those words. The goal is to build a story between two PCs over many sessions. This works best when the players explicitly call out a moment of a relationship building after concluding the interaction. Players then add a sentence in the PC's relationship, which becomes a relationship's current state. Ooh, I like that. They're constantly updating your how you feel about the current state. Oh, I had a big falling out with them, etc. Nice. This way, players are literally writing an evolving story about the PC's relationship line by line. I do like that. I think that's quite sweet, actually. It's also a way to get like, oh, they must really hate me. Optionally, PCs can build on relationships with NPC allies. This is especially useful in a small party PCs, allowing for more personalities to bounce off and engage with. Nice. Also, I will say, again, I never really read out play examples. Look at these nice little boxes. They look almost like you cut them out for cards and stuff. Very nice. Good choice. Again, I'm a big fan of having play examples and actually showing that they are different and they set out from those. So before we had those coloured example boxes with the different tiers of success, here's an actual play example and it's a different box for it. I really like that. Although, maybe I would just say, because it says example, I would probably just say example of building on relationships. Example of personal quest. I also like this orange we've got here. So, oh, I see what they've done. So the pink was like for the introduction chapter. And then the orange is like, character creation now. That's nice. Again, would have been nice to know that if there was a table of contents. Alright, personal quest. A personal quest is what drives a PC at their core, separate from party goals. This category requires the most creativity to flesh out, but makes for more unique and fruitful gameplay. If a PC ever completes their personal quest, they should develop a new one. Pursuing a personal quest means a player shines a spotlight on a specific moment when meaningfully pursuing or advancing a PC's personal quest. That could mean actively setting out or trying to accomplish something towards a goal, or investigating information on a subject related to a personal quest, or speaking to an NPC about it. Since personal quests vary greatly, what matters is the effort taken towards pursuing them. It's not about the end. It's not about where you need to go. It's the journey. I see. The GM may call for a relevant skill check to help guide the outcome of a situation when the PC pursues a personal goal. The GM may also, at their discretion, introduce a complication to help drive the story. Okay. I'm just going to check because my phone keeps going off. I'm like, who is messaging me? Is it important? What's going on? No, I didn't. What? Yes, thank you. How weird. I signed up for something. I wanted to check something, so I put it in my thing, and it told me I'd signed up for it. And I was like, oh no, I cancelled it. I've now had 2 emails saying, congratulations, it's confirmed. And then an email afterwards, it's been cancelled. I was like, oh. Sorry, I was like, oh no. Alright, so now we've got this cheeky chap. Aren't they great? Okay, zoom out a little bit. So, items and equipment. Now we've gone on to blue. That's nice, isn't it? I like the colour. I like the font. Inventory. So every item has an item slot that values the approximate weight, taking up 0, 1, 2, or 3 inventory slots. I do prefer this way of if you do care about inventory, I do prefer this way of slots. So again, it reminds me very much of like video games when you think of like organizing your backpack stuff like that. But I do find it one of the most boring things in games. Like, it just works. It's fine. So, oh, wait a minute. A PC's inventory slots are equal to, and then it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say what it should be. Presumably, it's going to be like your strength, perhaps. Does it say here? Equal to 18. What? What does that mean? Hang on. That's Kiri. I can hold more. Sorry. Screech can hold more. 24. What? Oh, that's a bit silly. Again, if it was that important, it's not important. I presume must be like you must add something together. Like I don't know where you'd get that number from. Is it like double your courage or something? Got 24, and then no, can't be that. Regular clothes are only worn for the narrative or flavor purposes are not factored in, whilst especially heavy or bulky items may occupy more than 3 slots or be impossible to carry at the GM's discretion. If they exceed their maximum inventory slots, they become overburdened and possibly tired. See a page that we don't have. Cool. Inventory items are either worn or carried. Worn items are those that the PC is currently wearing, so clothes, armor, and accessories. Carried items are what the PC is carrying in bags, sacks, and on belts and bandoliers. Worn items actively confer any bonuses and are instantly at the ready, whilst carried items must be taken out to be used. Ooh. And then we've got examples of what kinds of stuff, but like zeros, like jewelry and little objects, and keys. And then light items, like light weapons, is 1 slot, medium weapons is 2 slots, and then heavy weapons is 3 slots. Item types. So there's 4 different types of items with different properties. We have mundane, we have magnificent, magic items, and relics. So mundane are items without special properties, rolled on the mundane item table. Ooh, using a D100. So instead of use a D20 and a D10. Ooh, yes, I love that. Oh, I like the idea of a D200 that you use a D20 for. Yeah, that sounds fun. Magnificent items are exceptional quality with a special trait conferring some benefit or property. So first rolled on the mundane items table before rolling on the relevant magnificent item trait table. Oh, okay, that's quite cool. I like that. Where you can in mundane, it's a shoe, but it has the gift of Heelys. The magical, magnificent trait of Heelys. Magic items, rare items with unique magical properties which vary greatly in power and usefulness. And then we roll on the a random magic table. I've got another email. Is it going to be... No, it's a backer kit that's ended. Great. I really should put it on silence. Apologies, guys, I'm getting distracted. And then we have relics, legendary items with more magical power or more cultural significance within the Land of Eam. Whenever you find one, you gain 1 XP, and you roll them on the relics table. Nice. Weapons. So by default, a weapon's dread is determined by your class. Two-handed weapons do a +1 dread. PCs can attack with just about anything: a shovel, a pan, an umbrella, etc. But when attacking without a true weapon, their dread roll has a disadvantage. One should use common sense when defining a true weapon, but the GM has final say. Okay, so it's like almost like a improvised weapon. Look at this! Look at this person here. Reminds me of a lemming a little bit as well. That's the sort of thing I used to play. My first ever D&D campaign, we had a person who would just collect so much and would just like constantly be overburdened because they had so much stuff in their bags and stuff. So armor, we have light armor like a gambison. Leather or hide grants advantage to defying death after being defeated twice in a session. Ooh. Medium armor and heavy armor also grant advantage to resist wounds after a PC is defeated for the first time in a session. Medium armor and heavy armor also impose disadvantage on some skill checks. The term movement checks refers to all athletic, nimbleness, and sneak checks. After actually suffering a wound or defying death, armor is broken and must be repaired to confer benefits. So here's the thing. This feels like there should be some highlighting of stuff here. Like, I don't know what a defying death thing is yet, but maybe... Oh, certainly after being defeated. That should be in yellow in my books. Like this orange, this sort of golden... like that we had previously on different pages. Same thing to here, like resist wounds. Defeated for the first time. That should also be highlighted. As movement checks and all that stuff. Because I'm like, oh, that's actually probably quite useful to know if I've got heavy armor. Actually, I've got advantage to resisting wounds. After they've been, you know, like, again, that's kind of important. And then we've got block. So heavy armor and some magical armor have a block rating, usually 1 or 2, which reduces incoming damage by rating. However, a block reduces physical damage. For instance, a fear-based effect wouldn't be blocked by armor or shields. Understandable. For armor types, we've got light armor 1, medium armor 2, heavy armor 3. Presumably these are the slots. It gives you an example of stuff. Not obvious though. Same with shields. Small shield, medium shield, large shield. Once per combat, they deal dread damage. Ooh. Helmet adds +1 to checks to defying death. Basically, if you're wearing lots of armor, you might add 1 to your death. Add 1 to these like death saving throws. Remember that a +3 maximum bonus to any checks except you're using quest points. So yeah, so there's only so you can't be wearing like a basically tin can. You go, I've got +5 to defying death. You don't. Pieces of armor. PCs might find individual armor pieces like gauntlets, greaves, or pauldrons, etc. Whilst alone, these pieces don't act as light, medium, or heavy. A PC could potentially collect a piecemeal suit of armor. Otherwise, piecemeal armor provides narrative benefits. Nice, I like that. So for example, if acid drips on the PC's hands, perhaps the gauntlets are destroyed before they are harmed. When kicking a mook in the shins wearing greaves, it hurts extra. Nice. Oh, there is coins. Blah, no thank you. Then the Land of Eam, people use various coins of differing value, all stemming from different eras and regions. Because of this, tracking money is abstracted. Thank God. Phew. If PCs find money in a hoard or someone pays them, instead of tracking individual coinage, players track discrete pouches. Ah, pouches are coming back. Interesting. I think it was Daggerheart that had pouches. There are copper, silver, gold, and ancient coins. Whenever spending a pouch of coins, roll a usage die which determines if the coins are completely spent on a 1 or a 2, or if the coins are just reduced in value. Or coins are just reduced a step in value. Oh, okay, nice. So yeah, if I rolled a d6 and it's 1 or 2, I'm like, I've used up all my copper coins. Okay, I like that. Ancient coins, 1 or 2. Constantly, like, I have so many ancient coins. Items cost. So purchasable items have a cost. Cheap, pricey, expensive, or really expensive. and each coin type has a maximum purchasing power. If the PCs wants to buy an expensive item, for instance, they would need to spend gold or ancient coins. There you go, we've got them here as well, so, max purchasing power is cheap for copper coins. I don't mind that too much. It's interesting, it's different, right? And yeah, anything I don't have to track more or less of, that's fine. I will say though, it's funny now they're like, oh, coins don't track much about it, but inventory, we must track everything for. I'm just like, oh. I just feel like it should be obvious what you can and cannot take. And it's up to the GM to be like, look, you can't take. If you got free shields, maybe give one of them to someone else. I don't know. So when a PC wants to buy something, it must be locally available, which is up to the GM. Then, provided they have the proper coins to pay for the cost, they can buy it. Roll the pouch of coins use die, and on a 1 or a 2, the coins are entirely spent and removed from the PC's inventory. Otherwise, the coins move down a step in value, so ancient coins become gold coins become silver coins become copper. Copper coins do not reduce a step and are only completely spent if you roll a 1 or a 2. What the system essentially does is abstract haggling. The players don't need to get bogged down with that during play. Thank God. Phew. Importantly, when purchasing items, unless bundled together, the items bought are bought individually and each transaction triggers a separate usage die roll. Okay. I'm warming up to this a little bit, I'll admit. Players can guess using ancient coins to buy a cheap item probably isn't worth it, like buying a pack of gum with a gold bar. And should the PC roll a 1 or 2, they won't even get change back. That'd be incredible. What, Werther's original? It's a gold coin. It's an ancient gold coin. There are exceptions for rolling a usage die. So for example, when paying a non-merchant NPC for a job or service, where a flat fee makes sense, the GM may determine a pouch of coins must be spent outright without rolling the usage die. Okay, yeah, I like that. It's a different way of doing it. It's different, I like it. PCs can combine pouches of coins in almost any city, converting them to higher value coins. So it goes 3 pouches of copper coins to 1 pouch of silver coins. It's a 3 to 1 ratio. Okay. Alright. Let's look at this. See? That artwork is so much better. So much better. No alt text, obviously, but that's so much better. Ugh. Okay, travel and exploration, and our favourites. The game uses a hex map and procedural rules to travel, known as hex crawling. Each hex is 6 miles, and there are 3 modes of travel: a day's travel, exploration, and dungeon crawling. A day's travel. When the party travels across a hex map, each day is divided into 4 travel turns. Turns 1 and 2 are the daytime, and turns 3 and 4 are at night. Daytime hours are ideal for travelling, and PCs can move up to 2 hexes per turn. Thus, the party can typically cover 4 hexes, so 24 miles during the day. Excuse me. Travelling at night is much more difficult and dangerous. Not only can the PCs move just 1 hex per turn, they get disadvantaged for doing so. Obviously, it isn't always wise to march across the land both day and night, never stopping to rest. PCs can only travel comfortably on foot 2 turns in a day before they risk getting fatigued. If PCs push ahead and travel a 3rd turn in a day, they must roll plus vitality to avoid becoming tired, on a page that does not exist apparently, and suffer 1d dread. If they travel a 4th turn, they automatically become tired and suffer 1d6 dread. 1d6, sorry. Ooh. Travel check. So for every travel turn spent moving across the hex map, a different PC must make a travel check for the party. This feels very similar to the One Ring. They do this sort of scouting stuff. To make a travel check, roll plus realms at the beginning of the term to determine if there is an encounter, a minor setback, an uneventful journey, or a discovery. Ooh, so yeah, a d12 plus realms, so 1 to 2 is perilous encounter, 3 to 5 is a dangerous encounter, 6 to 8 is bump in the road, 9 to 11 is an uneventful journey, and 12 is a discovery. Travel modifiers. So travel checks and hex movements are modified by the following circumstances. So at night, PCs can only travel 1 hex per turn and have disadvantage on travel checks. So that's 2d12 plus your realms. PCs can only travel 1 hex per turn over difficult terrain like mountains, forests, swamps, and when crossing rivers. Evening. Hello, Richard. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing? You've just joined us for we're about an hour and 20 minutes into our quick start for the Land of Eam, which is like Lord of the Rings meets Muppets. It's good so far. We're enjoying it. I hope you're doing well, my friend. What have you been up to? And then some more stuff. Traveling via roads marked on the map provides a +1 bonus for travel checks, which is probably very good. When traveling on the road whilst mounted or in a vehicle, the party can travel an additional hex per day. Makes sense, you're not under your own feet. When traveling by boat, you can travel an additional hex per day. Oh, you can travel by boat. Amazing. Travel by map, you know? In the Land of Eam sandbox settings, areas on the map called zones often penalize travel checks. Interesting. Almost recovered from my Expo COVID. Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear. I'm so sorry. Do you have a noise gate on? I probably do. It probably cuts out every so often. I did try to change it earlier. Is it cutting out quite a bit? Do let me know. Because then otherwise I can take it off. I need to test all this stuff around. But I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry to hear that you had COVID. Then, perilous encounters. Perilous encounter is an immediate life-threatening situation or hostile adversary. Oh no. It's cutting out the low volume of everything you say. Oh dear. Alright, I'll have a look at it at some point. I've gone into it too much just now, but I'll double check it later on. It's because I don't listen to it live, so that's a problem as well. But thanks for letting me know that. I'll try and be louder. I do tend to drop off on my sentences. A dangerous encounters. A dangerous encounter is a clear danger or potentially hostile adversary. A bump in the road is a minor setback, even though the PCs successfully travel to or explore a hex without an encounter. Never done a hex crawl game. Looks interesting. Well, it is kind of like a hex crawl game, but it's not at the same time. Again, I don't think there's no way I can show you the map per se on this. Maybe it'll give us an example one in a second. But it's very similar if you've looked at the One Ring at all. That's got, obviously, rules for exploration and stuff, so I'd recommend checking that out. So, roll a d6. So we've got wrong turn, lost supplies, exhaustion, bad weather, unwanted attention, and inter-party conflict. So the wrong turn, you get wrong turn moves off, moving just 1 hex, rolling d6 as to which hex you travel to. So, I quite like that, yeah. North, southeast, south, northeast, southeast, south, southwest, and northwest. Ah, interesting. I clearly don't know my my compass and things at all. That's interesting. I like I like having d6s to determine which direction you go to. Lost supplies. A random PC accidentally loses some food, rations, or other item. Exhaustion. You take a difficult path of wearing everyone out. PCs take 1d6 dread and become tired until they rest fully for 2 turns. Not dismissing others' tech issues, but not on my end. Oh, thanks for that, my friend. I never say your name. I appreciate that. Again, I appreciate this is just me just trying things out. At some point, I'll have to go through and actually make a big deal of it. But it's always good to know. And I think we had some problems on the previous test as well. But good to know. Thanks, people. And yeah, I would say that if at any point any audio stuff comes up, you're like, oh, the music's too loud or you're too quiet, do let me know. I appreciate it's always good because I don't really know until after the actual play, but not the actual play, after the stream. But thanks for that. I really appreciate the conversation. Not the conversation, the comment, contribution. Oh, look at this! Look at this beautiful piece of art. I love it. Look, and then there's a gelatinous goo. Love them. Bad weather. The party runs a file of bad weather: rain, wind, cold, or heat. The next travel check is at a -2 as a result. Unwanted attention. The party travels quite conspicuously, drawing attention to themselves. Next time they camp, the wandering intruder chance is +2. Ooh. And then finally, inter-party conflict. The road is hard, putting people on edge. 2 random PCs start bickering. Potentially an opportunity to build relationships and gain XP. I'm not so sure about that one personally myself, just because... I don't know. I feel like that... It's just... I think a role play moment or something on the spotlight. Just because if you go, okay, you two fight now, it's like, oh, do we must we do that? I think it could be suggested, or maybe roll again. I think just because I don't want to put people on that they have to have an argument. I think an opportunity to build relationships is more important here. So maybe that's what it should be rather than an inter-party conflict. And then going back from that, whoop, oh, jumped ahead there. So from the bump in the road, that's that one. And then the final two we've got in the travel checks is uneventful journey and discovery. I do like the green. The green's quite nice, and the font is pretty awesome. Uneventful journey. An uneventful journey means the party successfully travels to or explores a hex without any trouble. PC making the travel check can also attempt to find resources, so that must be later on. And then finally, a discovery is a positive encounter or revelation of a local landmark slash secret in addition to successfully traveling to or exploring a hex. All right. Running random encounters. It's important that the GM reads the encounter before reading anything out loud to the players. Oftentimes, the description contains secret information impacting on how the players might react. Most encounters assume the party is already in the thick of a sticky situation instead of being able to completely avoid something without ever engaging it. I will say, like, I always do find it hard when sometimes I don't have time to prep these things and I need to read them through, and then I'm like, oh, I've just given away what the thing is, so never sure. The layout looks a lot like the Expanse RPG style, nice and clean. It is. I mean, like I said, it's meant for like a high fantasy meets the Muppets sort of thing. The artwork is gorgeous at that, and I very much appreciate the cleanness of the layout and the colors as well. We've had different colors for different chapters, and I think the only thing we talked about before was maybe if the text was a tiny bit like a point or two bigger in terms of font. That's the more thing, because again, you can imagine this as printed out might be a bit small to give to people. That's the only thing. But I do love the use of the artwork, like going over the border. Sometimes you don't have that. So, but yeah, I agree with you, Richard. It looks really nice. Look at that. That's definitely me with my pot noodles. So making camp. Adventurers don't just sit around silently, then hit the sack. They tell each other stories and ask questions as they gather around the fire and fill their bellies. Whenever the party camps, the PCs can choose to tell a story about themselves, their previous adventures, or elaborate on their backstories, relationships, or personal quests. Or they can ask another PC a question. The goal is to ask evocative questions that elicit revealing answers, giving insights into a PC's personality, backstory, relationships, or personal quests. If need be, the asking player can ask related follow-up questions to draw out something juicy. This reminds me of, she says, looking over there to see if she can find the... I'm going to have to go and look for it. Hang on one second. It literally, I can see it. Untangle myself from all these things. There we go. So I bought this before I left the UK. Go to big Fiona screen for a second. So I got this, the Ultimate RPG Campfire card deck, which is by James D'Amato, who is the previous host of the One Shot podcast. Sometimes we have Super Dylan, who comes in here, who's the current host, and you should absolutely go check out their work. But James writes this and has written like loads of other sort of the Ultimate RPGs backstory and stuff like that. But what I love about these card set things is that you could use them for something like this, the downtime stuff. So this card I just picked up there. It says, she says, will it look? No, it's not going to look at all. Ugh. No, I'll just read it out. Your past. How did you learn your most valuable skill? Who taught it to you? Why is this skill so important? And there's loads of questions like that. I've also got, quite nifty, an X card, which I think is quite nifty. And yeah, there's lots of different stuff. So I like the idea of having cards like this. And absolutely, I would use these cards and with this sort of combination stuff. So I was just like, oh, I was lucky that I actually opened it. I opened my box yesterday as I was putting stuff away. So there you go. 150 cards for sparking in-game conversation, which will be perfect for this. And then, let's see, 6 different categories. So your past, your present, your companions, your dreams, your worlds, and hypotheticals, which is good. Whether you're traveling day or night, feasting at the local tavern, or in fact saving the world, your adventure party does a lot together. But how well do you know your allies? Enter the Ultimate RPG Campfire card deck, featuring 150 introspective questions cards designed to spark discussions, inspire discovery, and connections between your characters and their worlds. With questions ranging from the incidental to the monumental, you and your companions will establish character bonds and bring your roleplay to the next level with the ultimate RPG campfire card deck. Yeah, love that sort of thing. Kieran says, I'm a big fan of the ultimate micro RPG book edited by James. Yes, I have. That's also over there as well. I'm excited. And I'm a big fan of having a physical X card included in the deck. Yes, Alice is Missing also has that as well as a physical thing. It's just good. It's just good to have. And also, I quite like. It feels. I'm gonna get it out now. Just checking on time. Yeah, we've got plenty of time. What's nice about this particular X card is like, okay, you've got the X on the back, but then it's got exactly what it does. I know you appreciate you can't necessarily read it. I'll read it out loud. So this X card is a tool to help players focus on the interesting and comfortable topics. When you're setting up the game, put the X card somewhere where everyone can reach if uncomfortable or questions come up. If uncomfortable questions or answers come up, any player can tap the X card and that answer or question will be removed. If someone X cards your question, just draw another one. You should explain it specifically what you are X carding, but you do not have to give a reason why. Nice and simple and straight. Is that the one with a pig at a wedding by Grant Howitt? That's the one. Yes, that is the one I'm thinking of as well. I picked it up last year at UK Games Expo. That is MacGuffin, isn't it? The MacGuffin folks that do that with Sasha and Johnny. Yeah, it's a cracking. It's a really good Microsoft. Maybe I should look at that soon because I do have the PDF for that as well. Anyway, that's all out of the way. Sorry, I got completely distracted, but I was like, oh, I have something for this. So yeah, again, I'm a big fan of having like downtime and stuff, but if you don't need questions, you're struggling to have questions, absolutely would recommend something like this. Or even just using tarot cards or anything like that, any sort of prompts. You could even do when I do streams, I often go and get icebreaker questions and then adapt it to the theme of the RPG I'm playing. So like I've done it for Alien before. I was like, how do you think you'd die in a horror film? What do you think will be your last words? All right. So, where were we? Yes, so we've done that one. So this is a great time to build the relationships, discuss personal quests, and gain XP in the process. During the sessions, when the party is on a long journey, the group may not want to engage in this roleplay every single time they camp, but the GM should remind them that the players of the possibility. Yeah, I agree. If you're like, okay, it's downtime, but we all need to roleplay to get the XP, nah, it's all fine. Food and rest. If a PC can sleep in an inn or a place of comfort, eating food can be hand-waved, and healing and resting heals full coverage. Whilst travelling on the roads, the rules are more strict. PCs gain 1d6 of courage after only eating and a night of rest. If the PC doesn't do one or the other, they don't gain courage. Additionally, a PC who doesn't sleep gains the tired condition, so -1 to Vim and Vigor checks. Oh, excuse me, I've got a bit of hair in my mouth. I'd also make this particular condition, put that in gold, like the previous ones, because that's kind of important here. Until they rest. If a PC doesn't eat, they get the hungry condition. So that's they're hangry. That's what it's going to be. And -1 to knack and know-how checks until they eat. For each of the following, the PCs get a +1 bonus for healing after eating and resting. So sleeping on a bedroll and eating a cooked food and not rations. Right, got to shoot for my stream. Happy Fantasy Muppeting. Thank you so much. Enjoy your stream. Have a good one. Rations. Rations use the usage dice similar to coins. When eating rations, roll the rations usage table, and on a 1 or a 2, rations are entirely eaten and removed from the PC's inventory, so a bit like the coin usage before. Otherwise, the rations can move up and down, so it's exactly the same system here. So what have we got? A normal rations is the D6. Quality rations. Oh, there's some examples as well, like Nork's instant noodles. I love that. See, that's why we love stuff which are like branded or like immersive. Absolutely, Nork's instant noodles. Absolutely would take that on the road with me. Gourmet rations like Kraken jerky. Wally's brand meat shake. Wally's. Yes, that was the name of the adventure we played. And then a D12. Oh, I see. It goes D6, D8, D12, and then D12 for animal feed, which is only good for mounts and pets. So don't eat that. Very good. Okay, so this is the combat bit, the conflicts as well. I'm just going to shoot. How much time we've got? We've got 25 minutes before I have to shoot off. There's combat, which we'll go through, and then random encounters, adversary types. and then it goes to okay. So we've got a little bit to go, but not too bad. Nice. So this, I did want to get to the conflicts bit because I do think this is quite interesting and important. So a conflict occurs when tension escalates to the threat of combat. This is not ever to say that every conflict turns into a combat. Right? Every conflict turns into a combat. In fact, most of the time, players have opportunities to avoid combat. NPCs, creatures, critters, and creepers in conflict with PCs are called adversaries. Players each have one action to spend each round, while some powerful adversaries have up to 4. A conflict round is divided into 4 phases. To start a conflict round, players state what their intended actions are. Is it to parley, improvise, run, or fight in a combat? So phase 1 is parley. At the beginning of any conflict, a PC who wishes to talk first may do so. Charm, inspire, intimidate, and trickery are the skills most often used, along with many class abilities. If all goes well during this phase, the PCs could potentially avoid combat altogether. It's not too bad, but I do feel this page is a lot denser than previous pages. A bit of art or some text box would make this a lot easier. Yes, I do. Let's look out. Yeah, it's not only do we have the double columns thing, we've also got this at the top here. So I think if they spread it out a bit more, I agree, some artwork would be good here. Because this is kind of important. Again, it's all on one page, which is nice, but I see what you mean. Maybe having the boxes in boxes, so like phase 1 box, improvise box, run, and combat. So yeah, I feel you there. Let's see. NPCs and creatures that have a parley score of 0 to 2 determine how many times the party can attempt to negotiate during a conflict. Critters can only parleyed with or wrangled using the wilderness skill. The more fearsome and hostile the adversary, the harder it is to parley or wrangle. Especially tough enemies can even impose a penalty or disadvantage on skill checks. During parley, a failure with plus is up to interpretation, just like other check results. And here are some helpful ideas. This is always good. You fail to sway them, but they spill some information. They're distracted. But they're not interested in killing the PCs, they want something else. Or if they have a parley of 2, you can make another attempt at it. So yeah, it's a skill check essentially, which I like. And then rolling a complete failure always means that things have gone awry and the adversary is angered. Absolutely. I do think, again, one thing I always find interesting is that depending on your group, depending on how people play, a lot of times you maybe fight, and they go, oh wait, stop, let's try and talk to it. And actually, yeah, I like how he says, like, does anyone want to talk to this thing first? And people go, yeah, I'll have a go. Excuse me. Excuse me. What was I saying? So I do quite like that people who want to talk first can go and then improvise with something, like do something with the environment, then run, and then combat. Combat should be the final result, rather than having 2 or 3 rounds of combat and going, wait, maybe we could talk to it. It's like a bit late for that. Ooh. Improvise. So after the parley phase is the improvise phase, where anyone who wants to do something other than fight can attempt an action. This might be time for the PCs to use their non-social skills and abilities to help overcome, defeat, or defuse the situation. So for example, a PC might try to cave in the entrance, cut a rope bridge, or dive for the precious item. Or they might give aid to an ally, hide behind a table, or swing from the chandelier. This is also the phase to move large distances. It takes a full round of movement to reach a faraway target, 2 full rounds to reach a distant target. We haven't talked about movement zones before here currently, so interesting. Phase 3 is to run. So if the PCs wish to flee, they can use their action to run, but they're only as fast as the slowest fleeing member of the party. Yes, it's the same thing. It's like you're doing a group stealth check, but the person who's least sneaky to roll, that makes more sense, would do as group checks. So the PC with the lowest nimbleness rolls a nimbleness check. The failure means the PCs can't disengage just yet, but they can try again the next round. Success means the PCs escape the area or a chase scene ensues, which is up to the GM. Chase scenes. Using a chase scene if the adversaries aggressively pursue the fleeing PCs, sorry. During a chase scene, each player alternates describing how their PC helps the party escape. They then each make a check of their choice. They could use their skills and abilities creatively, but it should make sense in the fiction, and the party can't do the same action twice in a chase scene. Failures and twists often mean that the pursuers can attack the PCs during a chase, in addition to other narrative consequences. If the PCs accumulate 5 successes or 3 successes for a small party, or before 3 failures, they outrun and lose their pursuers. The result of a failed getaway is up for interpretation. This means that the pursuer corners them, the party loses or drops something important, or some other negative consequences occur. That's quite good. Again, simple enough in terms of chase scene rules in my book. Maybe, like, again, what does a small party mean? Is that 2 to 3 players rather than, I don't know, 6 players? Yeah, I like that. Again, just keeps it nice and quick. Sometimes chase scenes, chase rules, oh, they're so long and so dull. I hate them so much. And then finally, phase 4 is combat. The phase combat uses initiative, so everyone rolls plus perception to determine the attack order. Anyone rolling a 6+ acts before the adversaries, and anyone rolling a 5 or less acts afterwards, which I love. I love very simple, like initiative order like that. And also, yeah, it means I don't have to roll anything for the adversary. To attack, roll plus attack, modified by the defender's defense roll. So we said this before. So if I was attacking, so I'd roll this attack with Kiri Candleheart. So they'd roll just there's a D12 plus the attack, so it'll be a -1. And then if the defense of the creature, let's just say it's a defense one, then we take another defense. So we a -2 to the roll. Yeah, makes sense. If successful, deal dreads the target courage, which I think was a D8 for this person. Oh, it's not here. Interesting. Maybe they've got a fiddle. Maybe they don't have any weapons. Oh, I think somebody else has weapons. Maybe Squeege does. Attackers can move and attack a nearby target in the same action. After the combat phase, a new conflict round begins. In the new round, parley comes first, assuming that's still an option, again followed by the action phase, by the run phase, and then by the combat phase. All good. And then we've got actual combat. Hooray! Our favourite. Oh, here's range and movement here. So combat in Land of Aim is meant to be quick and decisive. By design, the PCs do not have boatloads of courage to absorb many hits over several rounds, and because of the counterattack mechanic, they are liable to get hit on their own turn. Therefore, running away is completely acceptable. Remember, even when the PCs enter combat, players who want to parley, improvise, or run act first at the top of the round. Land of Aim is a largely theatre of the mind game when it comes to combat. Distances between characters are categorized into broadly defined ranges: close, nearby, far away, and distant. The close is obviously right next to the PC. So melee, you can do melee attacks there, but you can't do range. Nearby is that you can do both melee and range. You're sort of on the other side of the room with nearby targets. Far away is on the other side of the stream, etc. Melee, I must spend a full round moving to get in range, and range can obviously attack far away targets. And then distance is on the other side of the field. Melee have to get 2 rounds moving towards it and get in range, and range attacks have disadvantage attacking distant targets. Fair enough. Again, straightforward, easy enough. And then we've got 2 types of, again, for melee combat and range combat, we've got 2 different tables here just to indicate the success. What I do like is that it tells you exactly what you have to roll on these tables. So yeah, you always have to roll a D20, oh sorry, not a D20, a D12, plus your attack, but minus the other person's defense. I think I would just say that it would be the other person's defense, not your defense. So here we've got 1 to 2, complete miss, 3 to 5, miss with a plus, 6 to 8, hit with a counter attack, 9 to 11, hit, and then 12 is a critical hit. Combat is slightly different. It is more difficult to hit, but the attacker cannot be counterattacked. Right, yeah, obviously it cannot be counterattacked because obviously it's a range thing. So same thing. Plus 1 to 2, complete miss. 3 to 5, miss with a plus. 6 to 8 is a grazing shot. 9 to 11 is a hit, and 12 is a critical hit. So whoop. So what we've got: success and failure. So 1 to 2, complete miss. is something negative occurs in addition to the attack missing, such as accidentally damaging the precious item the PCs are trying to retrieve, or a mechanical penalty like getting in the way of an ally or getting in an ally's way and inflicting disadvantage on their next roll. If the GM can't come up with anything in a moment, they are encouraged to collaborate with the other players or roll on the following tables. Also, we have a total miss table, which I always love. Again, it would be nice if it was all on one page. Obviously, it looks good, I guess, here. You can see it here. But, yeah. So we fumble the weapon, put themselves in a bad or precarious position. The attack hits an ally or an object in the environment for a negative effect. Alerts or draws the ire of other adversaries. The PC alters or gives a penalty to the ally's next attack action, or accidentally hurts themselves on a 6 there. Single page view. Ooh. And we'll zoom in a little bit so people can see. Miss with a plus. So when we miss with a plus, some sort of silver lining or positive outcome occurs despite being missing. This could mean missing but knocking the adversary closer to a nearby cliff edge, or a mechanical bonus like missing but setting up a flanking ally, granting advantage on their next roll. Again, if you can't come up with anything in the moment, a quick solution for a miss with a plus is that both the attacker and the defender take 1 dread. Otherwise, the GM is encouraged to collaborate with the players or roll on the following tables. We've got one here. So, you miss, but sets up the ally's next action or attack. Miss, but alters the adversary's planned attack or action. Misses, but hits an object in the environment for a positive effect. Misses, but is able to guard a vulnerable ally. Misses, but disintegrates. but disrupts or delays other adversaries in the fight. And finally, misses but puts the adversary in a bad or precarious position. Nice. I like Goo Masters being encouraged to collaborate with Eam Denzians when determining consequences. Yes, you've got it, Kieran. Eam Denzians. I love that. Yes. All right, that's it now. Goo Masters and Eam Denzians. Good shout. We will make every single RPG have our own names for players and GMs. By hook or by crook, we will absolutely do it. 6 to 8 is with a counter attack. That's obviously with a melee. So you deal dread, but the target can make an attack roll against them. You roll a counter attack. So yeah, you basically can take damage as well. This way, a chain of lucky counter attacks can simulate a duel. So I like that idea. They've got grazing shot is the example when you're doing range. It just deals 1 dread. 6 to 11, successfully hit, dealing dread, and then critical hit. You deal double the dread roll, adding any dread bonuses. Oh, there's a space missing. There's a space there. Multiplying the total by 2. Oh, okay. So you roll. Right, so you roll and then double it. Oh, I like that. Double the dice, or double the dice and the dread bonuses. Nice. Courage. So courage is a measure of PC bravery, will, and toughness during an adventure. Other games commonly refer to these as hit points, but much of what courage represents in the Land of Eam is the mental aspect of dealing with harm and adversity. A PC's starting courage is determined by their class plus Vim. Some magical items can also bestow extra courage. Dread. So physical and mental harm is expressed with dread. I do quite like this. I do quite like the terms of it. So this reduces a PC's courage. Armor can block dread from a physical source, but it can't block mental harm like fear, stress, or disgust. Not disgust. A PC's dread dice is determined by their class. Some classes have abilities increasing their dread die, and some items also increase their dread. PCs can attack with just about anything. As we said before, a shovel, a pan, a umbrella, etc. But when attacking without a true weapon, their dread roll has disadvantage. One should commonly have a sense of defining what a true weapon is. One should use common sense defining what a true weapon is, but the GM has final say. Healing. Most classes have abilities allowing them to heal themselves or the party at some point in their level progression. Besides that, there are certain magic items, herbs, fishes, and alchemy recipes that heal courage, which can be sought after. I don't know if there is any recipe. There's not like crafting, I don't think, in this game, as far as I'm aware. All right. Defeat and death, so wounds. At 0 courage, the PC is defeated, meaning they fall unconscious for 1d4 rounds. Roll plus vitality to resist wounds. On a 5 or less, they suffer a wound, and being wounded gives all rolls a -1 penalty. An ally can use an action to wake up an unconscious PC. When regaining consciousness, they heal courage equal to 1d6 plus their level. Oh, that's quite good. Wounds persist until the next session or adventure unless healed by magic or medical help. If all the PCs are defeated, the GM describes what happens based on the adversary. Some enemies take prisoners or demand retribution, whilst others, like dragons, are ruthless and might gobble the PCs up. If the PC is reduced to 0 courage twice or more in a session, roll plus vitality to defy death. They can use multiple quest points on this check, so this is good to know. So, 1 to 5, the PC performs a final heroic action before dying. 6 to 8, the PC lives but suffers a lasting injury. Well, okay, we'll see how that goes. And then a 9 plus, the PC lives. A PC failing their defying death check cannot be healed by any means but can perform one last heroic act helping out the party. This can be something amazing, and the GM should work with the player to help their character go out in a blaze of glory. PC allies. It's very common for the party to befriend or hire NPC allies to assist on their adventure in the combat. Inevitably, they may end up hurt, wounded, or dead. Oh well. Generally, PCs are not as tough as PCs and can only be defeated once before they must defy death. Just like PCs failing to defy death, NPCs cannot be healed. Yeah, we don't want to have them taking the glory, so to speak. Lasting injuries. Okay, I'm always a bit like, what does this mean? But we'll see. So, lasting injuries give the PCs disadvantage on skill checks relating to the injury. And here on this table, the D10 table, we've got a phobia of what harmed them, which I think is fair. Hearing loss, missing fingers, weak lungs, a facial scar, a bum leg, a blind eye, forgetfulness, severed hand, or severed arm. Those final two do not feel like in keeping with what this game is about, I'll be honest. I think make it a D6, and I think work with the player to talk about it. I don't like weak lungs sounds funny to me, but I appreciate that's also quite a serious thing, certainly if you're suffering from long COVID or anything like that. So yeah, I'd just be a bit careful with this sort of thing. Again, you don't want facial scar to make, you get that sort of thing. Blind eye, forgetfulness, like all of these you'd have to check with your session 0, personally speaking. But I think a phobia of what last harmed you, but then having a chance to overcome that phobia would make a really nice story. And conditions. So over the course of an adventure, a PC might be afflicted with one or more of the following conditions. An ongoing penalty or effect persisting until it subsides or is cured. So frightened is a -1 to all checks until they escape the source of their fear. Hungry, if you don't eat for a day whilst travelling, they are hungry and suffers a -1 penalty to all knack and know-how checks. Do not you if you've not had your Snickers for sure. Overburdened, if you're carrying too much in your inventory, you get disadvantage to movement checks, and this continues for more than one leg, you get tired. Poisoned has disadvantage on all physical-based skill checks until cured, which can be cured by an antidote, a high-level gnome or witch. Maybe I should say by an antidote or by a high-level gnome or witch, maybe. Additional poison effects vary based on the adversary or the thing poisoning the PC. Tired, you don't get a full night's rest, -1 to Vim and Vigor checks, and the PC would fail to get a full night's rest, for instance, if they opt to travel at night or a wandering monster disturbs their sleep. And then a wounded PC suffers a -1 penalty to all checks. My quick question is, would these things stack? So imagine if you had, you were hungry and you obviously have a -1 to knack and know-how, and then something frightens you. So is that a -2 to knack and know-how until you escape? And then if you're wounded, is that then a -3? That's the only thing I'd say on that. Oh, I also feel like this table suggests that these things are always a result of the fight, and I worry it might discourage people from creating disabled characters at the beginning of the game. 100%, you've hit the nail on the head again, Kieran. Because yeah, like it's we want to make sure that all the, because it was so welcoming in like all walks of life and corporations, etc. So yeah, you'd want to make sure that you have the space to be able to create disabled characters, characters from all walks of life. Oh god, I've just seen what the time is. I have to finish up. I'm so sorry. So yeah, I feel like lasting injuries, it's always a bit tricky. It's always the same thing with like when you have insanity as game mechanics. It's a bit, I'm not sure how I feel about it. So yeah, I think I would just get rid of that lasting injury stuff and just talk about like, you have a phobia, you are now frightened, and maybe use these conditions more, because these feel more generic conditions as well. And I agree, you don't, because obviously adventuring is going to be quite a cruel and hard-working thing, but I feel like, yeah, these don't work for me. So that's definitely something I would change. Then we've got some random encounters, which I'm not going to look at because I'm just aware of the time. Adversary types. So as I was saying before, we have creatures, we have critters, we have creeps, and then there's sort of like goons, bruisers, and champions. So different levels of stuff there, which is quite good. I like these little logos. They're quite cute on here as well. So that's quite nice that you could combine these to make like sort of different kinds of adversaries for your combats. Sorry, not combats, your conflicts. And we've got some more terminology there. Gotta love a good terminology. How to read the adversary sheet as well. That's pretty good. And there you go. And then it goes into, I believe it goes into then 3 different quick start scenarios. So the Curse of the Chickenfoot Witch, which I'm going to zoom through. Look at these amazing little creatures. I love them. And yeah, here you can read them. So it's level 1 goons, which are a critter. Critter? I want to say critter. Yep. No, that's maybe it's not the. I can't remember exactly. But look at these. Aren't they great? These little drawings. Lair of the Chickenfoot Witch. Oh, then you get a map as well. Maybe they don't have the Wally's one then. But look how good that map is. I love it. Really exciting. And like you've got little sections of what I like about it is that each of these areas, it indicates where this area is. And yeah, maybe the text is a little bit too small. Oh, let me move this across so people can see the full thing. You can see which areas is tagged to, like, oh, so this, like, for example, countless kaleidoscopians skitter on the floor here. So you can actually see where you're going. So whilst maybe it's not an accurate sort of depiction of the dungeon map, I still like you can easily identify which room is which. You're not looking at one map and then covering several pages because, oh, this is room 3. Now, where's room 3 in relation to rooms 2 and 4? And there you go. And then the adventure continues. Oh, you go. The Returning to Wally's, that's the one I've done for sure. I think that's the one I've done. Yeah, Wally's, Waffles, and Wargs. Oh, there you go. That's the one I've used. That was quite fun. And there you go. And then it goes into the quick start where it all began. Go and get the books for Rickety Stitch if you would like. And there you go. That's the end of it. Oh, we made it through. We did all right. We'll do the quickest of roundups for everyone before I have to head off. So, what do we think? What do we think of this quick start for the Land of Eam? I think overall, I really like it. I know I'm biased because I have played this before. I like the artwork, bar the front cover. I like the use of D12s and the tiers of success. I like how it is focusing on collaborativeness. I like the layout of it. Yeah, it doesn't feel, it feels like this version is not complete for whatever reason. It gives enough of the setting to be exciting. I'm sure if you read through the adventure of the Chickenfoot Witch, it will give you a good sense of stuff. I think the quick start character sheets, I think they're very clean overall, although some of the things I don't think are explicitly described properly, I don't think. But I do wish that they were form fillable, but it is what it is, and clearly there's some stuff about crafting here as well, which we didn't get onto. It's not in that quick start at all. Oh, let me zoom out a little bit so people can see. I think the artwork is beautiful. It looks so clean. The font is really nice. The colours are very nice as well. Look at this. The gnome there. And that goes back to, apologies, I've forgotten your name. Testy Trekkie was talking about that the S initial is for something. I like that for old gnomes, that they have S and it might be like Steel Warbly Pebble Skip, or was it Dragonbane? Was one you saying, which I love. There's the Knight Errant, which is Galen Dundoogle. I love the Borgrill. Riley Springle, Loyal Chum. Yeah, Loyal Chum, the best one. I think they've got some really interesting classes and like I love the terminology for things. I think are really good. I wish there was more of it. As we always say, I wish we could have Game Masters and EAM denizens, as Kieran was saying in the chat. I think it's the layout is one of the best we've seen. I think it's a bit in some places a bit packed. We talked about the font size before. Wish there was alt text as always, but I think overall it's got me excited. I think enough of this. If I was printing it out, I could give over to people and be like, "That's really cool. That's nice." Anyway, it is 1 o'clock my time, so 7 p.m. everywhere else. So I need to head off. I've got to do stuff. So let's go back to the screen. Thank you so much if you are here and enjoying this. Oh, I've got this as well. Oh no, wait. I've zoomed up quite a bit. So if you want to check this out, you can get a free copy on the Land of Eam website. I've put a link in the chat. You can also get it on Drive-Thru-RPG. Just double check you are looking at the right one. This is the quick start guide and not the better quick start guide. Is it going to actually do it? It's taking a little while to load. We'll find out. If I've enjoyed this, thank you. No, thank you, Kieran. I very much appreciate when you read along and stuff and give you opinions and stuff. I very much appreciate that when people can do that. If you're interested in knowing more, come check out What Am I Rolling, which is a twice monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast where we do lots of different RPGs and we do lots of game designing stuff as well. If you want to check out the other podcast I do, it's the DM's Book Club, a weekly D&D podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons lore and discuss how we can improve it for everyone, because we read the books so you don't have to, because Wizards isn't doing great. And frankly, we need to look at different games and different settings. I really love this setting. I really love the Mucklands. I'm going to say, do check out the graphic novel of Rickety Stitch as well, because I think it's one of the best fantasy ones, and it's a great design, and yeah, I just think they're good. And you can go check out the interview with other people, the Ben Costa and James Parks as well. We will be back on Thursday, she says, trying to look what time it's at. It is at we're looking at Solitaire, which is a group of solo games that's been written, which I'm very excited for. Did I just cancel? No, I didn't. Phew. Did I cancel it? Oh no. Anyway, sorry, end of stream. I need to rush off because I've got to do this for recording. Much love to everyone. Hopefully see you on Thursday. And yeah, check out more games. Check out the Land of Eam Quick Start. And we'll see you then. Mwah. Play more games. Bye.